Hotty toddy, Ole Miss fans, and welcome to the Brad and Chad Show on the OM Network. Brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans, made in the USA. This is the show by and for Ole Miss fans, where you'll get expert insight and analysis on Ole Miss athletics. And now, here are your hosts, former Rebels Chad Flowers and retired NFL star Bradley Sowell.
Podcast time.
Brad and Chad Show brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans. We got impactful news regarding the Rebels recruiting class, including a few commitments from the transfer portal. We got preseason recognition for some members of the Ole Miss baseball team, and former Rebel great Romaro Miller joins us. But before that, alongside me, as always, the father of false starts himself, Bradley Sowell. How are you, sir?
Good, man. Good. You know, a lot has happened in this past couple of days. Ole Miss loses a backup quarterback. Ole Miss fans go crazy. It's going to be an interesting week this week. I know we've got a lot of other recruits in town. So, yeah, good to have Romaro Miller on today, which is great. And, good to hear from one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, for sure. We've got Christmas right around the corner. Maybe, like we mentioned, maybe Santa can bring us a backup quarterback now that Marcel Reed is going to be leaving us. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Let's bring in our guest, Romaro Miller, on the Nest and Wild hotline. Romaro, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you guys?
Oh, we're doing good over here. Do you have any eligibility left? We need a backup quarterback for next year. Can you back up Jackson Dart?
Man, I'm about 30 pounds overweight. The condition coach will run me too hard for me to come back.
Chad with the disrespect, man. I'm thinking you can beat out Jackson Dart in this offense. I'm just being real with you. Come on, Chad.
He just wants to cash a check at this point, man. That NIL money.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely come back for that.
Hell, I'll come back for Quinchon's NIL deal.
Shoot. So Romaro, tell me, we always like to have former Rebels on before we get into some of the stuff that's going around the Ole Miss program. Kind of give us a breakdown. What are you up to now? I believe you and Doug Ziegler are competing for business in the insurance game. Is that right?
Well, we're both State Farm agents. He's based out of Ohio. I'm based out of Mississippi. So my office in Olive Branch. We cover 5 states: Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, and Mississippi. So we've been doing that for about 7 years, and that's where I'm going to be for a while, hopefully.
Nice. And, Romaro is also a great follow on Twitter, Romaro Miller, if you want some. He's always tweeting during Ole Miss games, even Saints games, if you're interested in that. Romaro, let me ask you, there's been a lot of drama this offseason after, there was drama during the season, but we always like to get kind of everybody's thoughts about the way things happened with Lane Kiffin, Auburn. Where did you land as a former player on how everything kind of shook out with Lane Kiffin and seeking other jobs?
I'm just at the point, man, where I was just ready for the whole deal to be over. Either you're going to stay, either you're going to go, but just give us some clarity. As an alumni, as a fan, I didn't want to go through it. I think this is pretty much the second year, and I think we can't pinpoint it, but I think the players, they kind of got in their head a little bit because you just can't tell me the last couple of games of the season it didn't wear on them the way they came out of play the last couple of games of the season. But I'm not getting paid $9 million to figure it out, and that way he went with, he got $9 million. So hopefully next year we don't have to deal with this next year.
Romaro, did you ever have a time where you had to deal with that? Your coach leaving or coaches leaving, and did it have any effect on you when you were playing?
Well, we went through that my sophomore year when Tommy Tuberville was leaving, actually going to the same school, Auburn. It's different now because usually I got so much media with Twitter and Facebook and all that type of stuff. It's a lot worse now than it used to be back in the day. I think back then we only had maybe like one Ole Miss site, and I think that was the Ole Miss Spirit. But now if you look at it, I mean, there's media all over the place. You can't hide from rumors. And these guys are players and fans, the way that we're on Twitter nowadays, I like to say, it makes your mind go wild a little bit sometimes.
Do you like the way that the game is progressing with the transfer rules, the NIL deals that are happening for all the players? Where do you stand on how the game has changed since you played back in the late 90s, early 2000s?
I like the portal, but I don't like the portal. It just, there's just no continuity now than what it used to be back in the day. I think I saw where Stanford, they got the entire offensive line in the transfer portal.
Ooh, wow.
You have one bad year, you lose a group like that, man. That kills your program. And a program like that, I don't know how long it'll take that team to come back. Then again, on the flip side, if you look at it, if you got like one or two guys where you're trying to fill some holes, it can help you build your program rather quickly. But for me, I was just a guy. You sit on the bench for a year, then take over and hopefully bush your tail to get a position, the starting position. Now, guys today, they want instant gratification. And if they're not playing, the first thing they're looking to do is go somewhere to transfer where they can play. And I don't know, just for me, it's something about that just is bad for me. But I understand what the players are saying, so I don't know what the balance is going to be. Some people are going to like it, some are going to hate it. And we'll just see how it ended up in 4 to 5 years.
You mentioned, Tommy Tuberville leaving. Do you think that in a situation where a coach leaves, would that be a situation where you're okay with, man, if the guy that brought you into the school decided to leave, I should be able to leave as well? Now, you might not have had that same feeling with Tommy Tuberville because of your options, but I think that's a good reason where somebody should be able to leave, but put some stipulations around it.
I think there's some stipulation that need to be around it. But on the flip side, I look at it. I just remember when we was in school, Deuce McAllister had his bag packed up and he was ready to leave. And we had a lot of leaders. We had a lot of leaders on the team. We basically went out in the parking lot and said, "Nah, man, you're going to stick this out," And because we had came in together, we worked together for a couple of years, And now it just seems like you're bringing in guys every other week. And honestly, who are the leaders on your team now? You don't have the guys that came in together for the first year to the last year. Now it just guys come in, they know each other for 6 months. And then, like I said, who are your leaders on your team? If you look at us this year, we got Jackson Dart, who came to school in January, who's supposed to be the leader.
Yeah.
Quinton, the running back, supposed to be your leader, but he just got there. But there's no veterans on the team that have been there 2 to 3 years. And I don't know, it's tough. It's tough. Like I said, I'm not getting paid $9 million to figure it out. Hopefully Lane keep figuring it out. Hopefully we just keep winning ball games and continue to adjust to the portal. Let me say that.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that, Romaro. I think it kind of hurts the overall camaraderie of the team, and like the whole beauty of college football was the fact that you can get a kid like a Juckins. The coaches work their ass off to get him. He's a 3-star at Alabama. They bring him in here. He balls out. Like that's what you call good coaching, good recruiting. Now you have to keep those guys. Now you have to. It's just crazy. Like that old story of finding a guy, developing him, a P. Willie type. That's done. Now if you find that guy, you get the shit into the sticks. Now you got to pay him to keep him. Like it makes no sense to me.
And I was talking to a D1 college coach who I consider a friend a couple of weeks ago, and he was telling me how they took like a 2-3-star kid and turned him to all conference. I ain't gonna call the conference out, but he was like, "Man, now I got to recruit this kid to stay at my school." And I was just thinking, I'm like, "Man, you're better than me. I can beg you to come to school, but I can't beg you to stay the first year, then stay the second year, then stay the third year." I beg my wife for something, but I tell you what, I don't know if I'm gonna beg some 18, 19-year-olds.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you on that.
Romaro, the Rebels have their bowl game next week against Texas Tech in the Texas Bowl. You played in 3 bowls during your stint in Oxford. Any big bowl? What's your favorite bowl memory that you have as a member of the Rebels?
Well, I think it was the first year we went down to the Independence Bowl, and I think we played. I can't remember the first year we played Texas. We played Texas Tech and
Texas
Oklahoma.
Tech.
I can't remember which one. Texas Tech the first one. Yeah, I remember they did an onside kick at the end, and Deuce picked it up and ran it back for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the good memories. One of the bad memories, that game was December 31st, and we brought in New Year on a bus going back to the team hotel. So I'm just glad that we're not playing on December 31st, where I'm going to be on a bus or in a car when a clock strikes 12 o'clock going back to the hotel.
Are you going to Houston for the game?
Man, I'm ready to be there, man. I travel to anytime we play in a city, in a big city, I'm going to be there. So once we say Houston, I started looking at all the steakhouses I'm going to visit and all the local bars I'm going to hit up. So I'm ready to roll, baby.
Steak 48 down there. You got to go to Steak 48 down in Houston, man. Steak 48.
Man, hey, I got that lined up, and somebody telling me about Taste of Texas. So trust me, I got some on my list, baby.
Romaro, not a lot of people know that you spent a little time in the NFL. You were a backup for Dante Culpepper with the Vikings. You also, won a Grey Cup. Chad Kelly won a Grey Cup a few weeks ago. You were actually part of a Grey Cup winning team in Toronto. Any big memories that you have for your playing days that weren't at Ole Miss? Backing up Dante Culpepper or playing in the CFL.
Man, I tell people I didn't play in the NFL. The NFL played with me. I think I got signed, I got cut, I got signed, I got cut. Who knows deal? But it was a good memory. I just remember one of my funnest memories of football was when I got released by Minnesota in preseason camp. They called me back to go back later on in the year. And one Sunday, I'm working in a gym in Atlanta, making probably about minimum wage and working out, trying to stay in shape. This is a Sunday. Dante get hurt. And the next Sunday, I'm dressed out of Lambeau Field. And man, I tell you, it was cold as all get out there, man. I'm coming from Atlanta, going up to Lambeau Field. That's some of the memories that you never forget that as a kid. I think I was about 21 at the time. Just being able to dress out in Lambeau, playing against guys like Brett Favre, and then I'm out there throwing to guys like Randy Moss and Chris Carter and all those guys. So it was a good deal for me. Then I was able to go to Canada a couple of years, like you said, get the Grey Cup. And then I think about 26, I was like, you know what? I'm tired of this. And I moved back to Memphis, Olive Branch area, and that's where I am now.
Beautiful. Before I let you go, I got one other question. We got Christmas right around the corner. What's your favorite Christmas movie?
I don't know. I mean, I like Elf.
Okay. Right.
Just anything that can give me a good laugh, I can deal with that.
All right. All right. Well, Romaro, we appreciate you. We hope you have a Merry Christmas. Actually, I got one other thing. What's your prediction for the bowl game?
I haven't really looked at it. I don't even know the spread. I don't know anything about Texas Tech. All I know is I'm going to be there and I'm going to enjoy myself. But when it comes to picking who's going to win the game, I think we're going to show up. But I just don't know zero about Texas Tech. So I'm going to go out there, going to do my part, and hopefully the Rebel fans that's out there with me, we'll do our part and hopefully get these guys across the finish line and finish out this year on a good note.
That sounds good, Rob. I'm gonna hit you up when I'm down there, man. I'm gonna see where you're eating at. I'm try to sneak in there.
All right, let's do it, baby.
All right, appreciate it, Rob.
That's Romaro Miller on the Nest and Wild hotline. Remember, Nest and Wild is created by Southern Craftsmen. They're powered by decades of experience and passion for improving your quality of sleep. Backed by a 99-night guarantee, Nest and Wild will help you sleep easy and made locally in Tupelo, Mississippi. Find them on Amazon or nestandwild.com. Once again, another nice little visit from a former Rebel that you and I grew up watching. Romaro seems like a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, Romaro's sweet, man. He's a good dude. He said he was taking his daughter to the water park today. I rolled down the window and I'm like, I don't know what water park you're going to, but that thing better be indoors.
Yeah, that's not something I would expect to hear from somebody in December in any state, pretty much. But we mentioned it a little bit during that interview. We've got some big news, not great news for the Rebels when it comes to recruiting. So signing day's tomorrow. We're recording this on Tuesday. So the 21st, we've got our early signing day for high school seniors. And one of the big ones in the class, quarterback Marcel Reed, I believe he's from Tennessee, has decommitted and he's going to Texas A&M, at least according to his Twitter.
Yeah.
Why that's a problem is, if you remember, Luke Altmaier is no longer on the roster. He is transferring, maybe going to Illinois. He hasn't settled. So now the Rebels are without a backup quarterback. Bradley, what does that do for a team scrambling like this at the 11th hour, trying to find a warm body, basically, to play behind Jackson Dart next year?
Yeah, I touched on this when I posted on the board, created a big stir about it. So here's the deal with it, and I like Marcel Reed. I liked his film. I was kind of high on him.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, just like everybody else, like, hey, what's the deal? The kid's been committed the whole time. He had a good playoff run there, kind of blew up, and then obviously you got Auburn, Texas A&M coming after him. And Ole Miss has a good NIL fund, right? I mean, it has been well confirmed. Ole Miss has $10 million plus, all this. Well, as I dig into it a little bit farther, because I'm high on the kid. I'm just like everybody else. I'm like, hey, he's gonna be a good, solid option if something happens to Dart, whatever. I like this film.
You and Ben were praising him last week.
Yeah. As I start digging into it, I find out Kiffin does no in-home visit with him. So, that says kind of, I start hearing, I'm thinking, hey, almost high on him. Well, I started digging into it, and apparently, A&M came in and offered some money, and Ole Miss wasn't high enough on him to match it, or think that maybe they weren't as high as everybody thought. So the way it was explained to me is, hey, we like the kid a lot. We viewed him as a definitely a backup, but we just didn't feel like it was worth it to send match a crazy offer that he got. So there's other needs in Ole Miss, and we have our starter for the next couple of years. And I was also informed that we have a top tier guy silently committed for the 2024 class. So I think they're going to go to the portal and try to get an older guy to back him up for a year. Is it a loss in my mind? Yeah, it's a loss. It's a loss to lose him, but I think people need to quit freaking out over it, because you have your quarterback. That's where we are now, right? Like in college football, you can go out and find another quarterback. You can, and if Jackson Dart, and if Ole Miss was a spot that needed a starting quarterback, they are going to get a player in a top tier player. Yeah. The reason why it didn't happen this year is because we have Jackson Dart, and and Reed chose to take an offer from A&M, and it is what it is. This is a new game. It's money. It's about money now, and Ole Miss shouldn't. If I'm them, I'm not paying up for a guy that's not going to be on the field this year.
No, I think the big challenge with the timing of all this is you're not going to be able to get someone highly regarded out of the transfer portal, because Jackson Dart's the starter, right? Nobody's just going to sit on the sideline and hold a clipboard. And you've probably missed the boat on any of the seniors, unless you're going to go after somebody that's committed to a Conference USA team, a Sun Belt team, something like that, because I don't have the relationship built. It's going to be very interesting to see how they fill that position because of the timing of it all. Now, you still have February. That's when the other signing day is going to be. But it's going to be really interesting to see what this coaching staff is able to do to try to fill this spot, because you have to have somebody that's competent behind Jackson Dart, especially as physical as he is. You never know if an injury is coming, and if you don't have a quarterback, then the season is going to take a nosedive.
The reality is, if he gets hurt, the season's over regardless. Yeah. Just as it was if Matt Corral would have got hurt. Right. If Matt Corral gets hurt and John Rice is our quarterback, or whoever last year, we only win 7 or 8 games tops. We don't beat Tennessee. We don't beat Arkansas. That's the reality. If your starting quarterback gets hurt, 95% of all teams are done. Like there's no coming back from it. There's good quarterbacks don't sit there and go, oh, I'm out there looking for a backup job. Like that just doesn't happen. So would it be nice to have a good young guy back there? Yeah, but if you're the coaches, are you stressing over that? Hell no, you can't. No. I'm not going to go pay a couple $100,000 to keep a kid that's not going to be on the field. And if I'm somebody donating to the NIL fund and I see the coaches spending money on guys that aren't going to do shit on the field, you're wasting money. Like right. You're hoping Jackson Dart stays healthy all year, like he did this year, and you're fine. But at the end of the day, you can't go, wasting budget on a backup especially whenever you have a kid that's silently committed in the 2024 class that probably is going to require some significant money. So yeah, it sucks and it appears bad, but I don't think our staff, as it was put to me, we aren't tripping. So
that's good to know. That's
where I am on it. And I think it's I think it sucks. They wanted him. But they definitely weren't going to sit there and play no bull crap games. And that's one thing I will say about Kiffin. And I've heard this quite often. I know kind of how he's been handling NIL is like, he's very transparent with these kids, NFL style. He knows a lot of these kids aren't going to pan out. Right. And he's also not going to be reckless with the money. He's said this to multiple guys, that have been visiting that people think are getting these huge offers. He's kind of told them how he feels, and this is what he's going to do. This is what he's willing to pay him, and here's the opportunity you're going to get. You can go find more money. That's fine. But, I do appreciate that he's not just recklessly throwing money around and to the figures of A&M, but you turn around and go 4-8 on the damn field and had 26-year players transfer. So that was all a wasted, whatever that was, $7 or $8 million they spent on that class. So it is what it is, man.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like you're saying, it doesn't feel like Kiffin is going to be someone that blows smoke. Hell, he doesn't even do that in his press conferences. So,
No.
he does seem like he's going to tell it like it is and let players know where they are. So maybe this was kind of it'd be great to have, but it's not a got to have type situation. We'll see how it pans out, especially if that silent commitment that you're referring to in the 2024 class is true. Then maybe this isn't as big of a deal as initially thought.
Yeah. Well, here's the way I see it too, Chad. He was committed the whole time. He's been committed since April?
Yeah.
He's only posted about Ole Miss stuff. I mean, Ole Miss has been his main guy. You'd mean to tell me that he just randomly left, or did Kiffin refuse to match? I mean, if they were that high on him and they were like, man, we have to have this kid, we have the money to keep the kid
and the relationship.
Yeah, we have the money and the relationship to keep the kid. There's no reason to think that A&M just beat us out. I mean, I think if they really wanted him and they were truly that high on him, they would have kept him. They would have paid whatever it take to keep him if they thought that, hey, as soon as Jackson Dart's done, Marcel Reed's going to be the starter. I don't think they ever viewed that. I think they viewed him as, hey, he is a good option for a backup if we need a good young guy, but he isn't the guy that we see being our offense, our quarterback over the next some odd years. So, I think if they want him, they would have kept him. I honestly believe that.
Let me ask you this. I've mentioned a few times just in us talking about this, the relationship angle of it. With NIL, it may not be as big of a deal, but as someone that was recruited by colleges, does the relationship that you have with a position coach or the head coach, do you think that still matters as much with the NIL component? Even though, players were still getting paid back in your day. Do you think that the relationship matters where someone can just come in and swoop somebody in and take a Marcel Reed, presumably like what's happened here?
Yeah, it should matter. It should. But if you look at this situation, it's totally money driven. Let's break it down. Let's think about it like this, okay? So you got Texas A&M, okay? Mm-hmm. Let's think about their situation. They have a coach that's dead in the water. I mean, the dude's got to win 10 games this year to even keep his job. So you look at that situation. Well, they also have Connor Wigman, who is a 5-star that is a badass, okay?
Yeah, he's good.
He's not touching the field there either. So there's two negatives right there. But, okay, we're going to go to A&M. So that tells me it's money driven. They say the other player was Auburn, right? Well, if you look at it from that standpoint, did Auburn even offer him? We need to get that confirmed, one. And two, Auburn's a good situation. I mean, you have a chance to go in there with a fresh staff to compete. So why choose A&M? It's got to be about the money. It's got to be about the money. It has nothing to do with the relationship because Auburn, he has a chance to play. Auburn is his best chance to play. If you're looking at it from a football standpoint, Auburn's his best chance to get on the field if he actually wants to play at the beginning. That's what tells me, if you look at it from a situation standpoint, A&M was the worst situation of all. They're not even going to have that coach after this year, most likely.
That's true. And if you're being honest, he can just take the money right now, whatever money he's getting right now, and then just transfer out next year to a place where he can actually play. So
correct. And that's my argument too. That's where I stand on quarterbacks and how it works now, right? Mm-hmm. We don't know who all is going to be available next year. You don't. It's hard to forecast it, but I will tell you this. If Ole Miss is in a spot where they need a starter, they'll get a starter anytime they need them because you can drop whatever money and you're starting in the SEC. It's just like when we needed Dart. I mean, we found a guy. We found the guy. And how about this? We found him last year with not a whole lot of money in the pot. I think if we had the money we had now, we would have made a run at a Caleb Williams or made a run at one of the other bigger name guys, but we didn't have the money to do it last year. This year, if we wanted a starter and we felt like we needed it, we have every means to be able to drop some money on an actual quarterback. It's always going to be that way now. It's no longer do you need a high school kid. You just don't. I mean, that's not what college football is. You can go get a freshman, redshirt freshman, whatever, that it will get you through the next 3 years. Do you want a high school kid? Sure, that's fine. But there's no advantage to having a high school kid. Like it used to be the only reason why high school kids were so important back in the day is because the transfer rule required guys to sit out. Mm-hmm. You do no longer have to sit out anymore. You can go buy your immediate starter. USC just bought a Heisman Trophy winner.
Right.
They just bought a Heisman Trophy winner, and they were ass cheeks the year before. So that's just the way it is now. Like that's what we have to adapt to. It is not, high school is not that important to get recruits. If it was, we wouldn't have 11 or 12 committed right now.
Speaking of some other commitments, I did mention at the top of the show that we have some transfer portal commitments. 2 guys on the defensive side. There are still plenty of offers out there. for offensive players as well as some other defensive players. But we got 2 commitments on the defensive side of the ball. We also got a kicker from Texas A&M, Caden Davis. If you're wondering about, Costa
of all the players, Chad, of all the Texas A&M players, we come away with their freaking kickoff guy. Come on, Marshall, let's go, baby. We need Marshall. We need the receiver.
Yeah, Costa is still going to be the field goal kicker, assuming nothing changes. Caden Davis is probably just going to be your kickoff specialist. But let's talk about the other guys that are going to be a little bit more impactful. No disrespect to Caden Davis. But first one, we have Joshua Harris, defensive lineman for NC State. Now, according to his eligibility, he'll have 2 seasons of eligibility left. Now, it's hard to find video on these guys. This is some high school stuff that we found. Bradley, in the little bit that you've been able to look at this, anything that stands out to you regarding Harris?
Yeah, I think this guy's just a good fit. He just kind of fits the scheme. He's one of those guys that I don't think it's a flashy signing, just like the other guy we have committed. I think it's just a good fit for the scheme and kind of what Poe referred to on the D line is, hey, we need guys that can 2-gap, big bodies that can 2-gap, especially if we're going to run, a lot of 3-down. Guys that can 2-gap, use their hands. He's a big body. He was a big ass dude and lost like a bunch of weight, like 50 pounds or something. Big, strong guy, probably going to play over the nose, probably play the nose guard for us, be able to eat up some space. So I think he's going to be a good role player, good rotational player. Just a good, big athletic body we have there. He does have some wiggle. His production at NC State was so, but I think he's a big, strong guy. It's not going to be flashy, but he's going to fill a need in the middle there for us.
Okay, so that is Joshua Harris, once again, transfer from NC State. The other one we have is linebacker, which we can never have enough of. Jeremiah Jean-Baptiste from UCF. Now, he's only going to have 1 season of eligibility, and the little that I read about him, he was kind of the leader of that defense. Here's some highlights from this past season. The Rebel defense never looked like that they rebounded from losing Chance Campbell, who declared for the NFL draft. Maybe this is somebody that can kind of bring that leadership back. What were your thoughts looking at some of this tape on Baptiste?
I like his size. He's a long, lanky guy, 6'2" or 6'3", 230 pounds, somewhere in there. Not necessarily a tackling machine, but I think he's a big physical guy that can cover some ground. He's going to be a lot like Kari Coleman type body, maybe a little bit thicker than him. Just another guy like Joshua Harris where, hey, I'm going to come in there, I'm going to play a specific role, I'm going to get some playing time. Not going to light the world on fire, but he's a good, solid defensive piece for us. He's productive at UCF. I think he's, from all accounts, you've heard of his leadership and how he was there. I think it's a solid pickup for us. I don't think it's any kind of home run by any means, but I think it feels, it looks like Lane's just finding some good, solid defensive players to stick on that side of the ball. And, hopefully we'll make some splash hires, but I don't think this team needs splash hires. I think we need pieces to kind of glue a lot of gaps up that we had. And, at wide receiver room, we need some guys there. We need some splash hires. There's some splash buys there, but I think this is just another good, solid defensive piece that is not going to light the world on fire, but going to be a good, solid piece for us.
I just think depth is what you have to have on the front side of that defense, right? Because you're going to have injuries, and the best names that you have are great, but if you don't have anybody backing them up when an injury happens or they get tired, then you're not nearly as good as you think you are. So give me bodies that have experience at this level, that have been productive at this level. That's what you have to compete with your Alabamas and some of the bigger schools, because that's what they have. They have depth. You can always get the big recruits potentially, but if you don't have the backups behind them that can at least be competent, then you're never going to be able to compete with those types of teams.
Yeah, I mean, you look at guys like that, okay, and you compare them. You say, hey, is it worth it to take a guy or two like that every year, or take a lower rated 3-star that may or may not be able to actually produce? Whereas, hey, I fill up half my class, 15, 16 guys, and then I'm gonna take, instead of taking just some shots in the dark at some players that likely never pan out, why not bring in some guys that are actually depth pieces and actually can contribute? It's just a new way of doing it, man. I mean, it's odd to me too. At times I'm like, what the hell are we doing? But that's just the way it is now. Like, you can do that. Now you can actually bring in players that have college football experience, use them for a year or two, and keep doing it. And it won't stop. I mean, this is how it's going to be every single year. I mean, I guarantee you next year the portal will have another additional 200 people. I mean, this year it tripled. I mean, it tripled from day one. It'll just keep getting crazier. It'll get to the point to where, I mean, you'll have teams building their whole roster in one season. So, I mean, it's what we live in now. I mean, it sucks for high school kids, right? Like it's harder to get a scholarship now in high school than it was because I mean, or at a big D1 school because guys are just going to keep interchanging. They're going to keep filling those bottom spots with guys they know that can at least play, not just guys that are going to sit there and sit on the bench.
Do you see the NIL situation? In the past, you've seen videos where you've got players that weren't on scholarship, and then the coach announces to the team that, hey, we're going to put this person on scholarship, and everybody's congratulating them. Could you potentially see that happening on the NIL side? Like, hey, this guy's going to get some NIL money because he's competing on the field. That's how you keep guys that maybe were lesser recruited, but they've started to blossom on the roster. So now you start sprinkling in some NIL money kind of as here's your reward for sticking with it, playing better, and now that's going to be incentive to stay.
Yeah, well, I think they're going to have to be very careful with that just because of the team particularly can't be, offering NIL. But, I can definitely see them, going out and creating funds that were with the fund. I think the goal of the fund from the beginning was for every player to receive a monthly side NIL deal, whether it be $500, whether it be $1,000, even for the players that aren't as high as some of the others. I think that the first team that can actually offer every single player like a standard, like, hey, this is what you get paid monthly aside from your scholarship check, they're really going to be killing it. But it's going to that'll take some significant funds, and there are teams out there that will do that. But I think the first team that offers everybody something and then lets the other guys kind of go out and use their actual name and likeness, that's when you're going to start cooking with fire. So I think they'll get to that point. I think, the guys will start doing well, and that'll be, their reward. Hey, I'm going to get them an NIL deal or whatever, or help to get them some NIL money. Or if they get too good, hell, you're going to have to pay to keep them. So I don't know, man. This whole thing, honestly, man, like it's
the Wild West.
It's a Wild West. It's just goofy at this way. It's almost making me lose interest at times just because it's like you got all these players. I mean, every freaking player. I mean, from everybody releasing these statements with these cool pictures, and like, dude, some of these people keep your ass in school.
Yeah,
like it's not all about football. You transferring if you're in Arkansas or Georgia, right? Like you're there to get a great education, one, and then just compete. You fight to get on the field, and there is no way in hell. If I was a third team tackle at the University of Georgia or University of Arkansas, would I be transferring to a UAB or a Nortex or something just to play? Hell no, dude. I'm gonna play with the best because that's the only chance I'm gonna have to make it to the next level. Anyways, I have to do it I have to try to do it with the best players. And secondly, like, I want to get a good education from a big school, like a good school. Like at the end of the day, that's what really matters. And dude, it's just good night. All these people issuing statements, never even heard of the guys, and like they're in the portal, and it's like, dude, you had a scholarship to a great school. Like 99% of the people aren't going to make it anyways. Like, dude, well, what is going on? This shit is so goofy and brutal now. It's almost exhausting.
Yeah, and we'll kind of have a full breakdown on the signing class next week. We're still trying to determine exactly what day we're going to record because the bowl game is, I believe, Wednesday of next week. So plan on seeing a show sometime after the bowl game, but we'll also talk the recruiting class that signs, and if there are any other portal additions, we'll make sure and bring those to you as well. Let's shift gears a little bit. Basketball. So the basketball team has not had, I'm talking about specifically the men's, the women are actually doing pretty good, but our friend of the show, Kermit Davis, has not had a real good non-conference slate to his season. We recorded this on Tuesday. Just a little while ago, the team lost to North Alabama. If you're not familiar with North Alabama, not many are. This was their first ever program win against a Power 5 team at the hands of the Ole Miss Rebels. So 8-4, which looks good on paper, but they got beat by double digits at UCF. They were down 21-0 at one point, and I am talking basketball last week. And they got SEC play starting next week, and we've mentioned it last week, but that SEC schedule, the first 4 games, you've got Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi State, and Auburn. Unless things get turned around real quick, it's going to be a bloodbath in SEC play. And whether or not it's fair to bring up, the writing's on the wall where you're going to have to at least make considerations as to whether or not Kermit continues to lead the program, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
it's just that loss today kind of hurt. I mean, 9-3 would have felt a whole lot better than.
yeah.
But I think that it's just a matter with this team and throughout Kermit's whole deal. I love Kermit, he's a good dude. It's just a matter of finding the consistency, right? Like just so many times we thought, hey, we're going to, this is gonna be the year we're gonna take off. We got some talent. We have talent. We have another really good player coming in, and
Mhm.
it's just for whatever reason, man. Some weeks you look at it and you go, hey, that's the way it's supposed to look, and then other weeks it's like, what the hell is this? So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna do. This is Keith Carter's guy. This is Keith Carter's a basketball guy.
Yeah.
So I mean, dude, it's gonna be an interesting deal here. I mean, and then SEC play just does him no favors. I mean, we
Mhm.
got the first 4 games are absolutely brutal. And the next 2 after that aren't too shabby either. So we're staring at 0-4 SEC start right in the face if we, if it gets out of hand here.
Yeah, the problem that I've seen is they play hard, they play well defensively. They're a defensive minded team, but the offense has been a rock fight pretty much every year since Kermit's been here. The offense will just disappear for it feels like halves or games on end where they can't put the ball in the basket. And it's just an ugly brand of basketball. And you can handle an ugly brand of basketball when you're winning. But right now, you've got an ugly brand of basketball and you're losing to teams like North Alabama. So, SEC play, if he turns it around and wins happen, then this conversation is moot. But until then, things don't look good for the outlook on the season and his tenure in Oxford, if we're being frank.
Yeah, some of these players too, man. Some of the highest ranked players we've ever had in basketball too. So
Yeah, and they're not getting it
man,
done.
praying for Kerm, praying for the stat, praying for everything, man. But oof, it ain't looking good. That's not a good. That is not a. I mean, and what sucks for him is he's sandwiched in between football, Lane Kiffin, and Mike Bianco, and baseball, where these programs are absolutely taking off. And and he just, man, we have not been able to get up and going in basketball. So, man,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a rough go there.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, SEC play now begins to the detriment more than likely. Next game is going to be December 28th at home against Tennessee. Tip 2 p.m. You'll see that on the SEC network if you have the courage to watch it. So yeah, that's the men's side. Women's side doing a little bit better. They've improved to 10-2 after 2 more wins last week. They've got their last non-conference game against Temple in Philly on Wednesday night. So Coach Yo will try to improve to 11-2. We'll try to have Coach Yo on in a few weeks to catch up with her. We had Kermit on a few weeks ago. Be fair to have Coach Yo on as well. Let's move over to baseball real quick. We're still in the preseason, obviously. I saw where the Rebels are preseason number 24 in one of the preseason polls, which I don't really care a lot about preseason polls. They'll have plenty of opportunities to move up, down, depending on what happens. But more importantly, Jacob Gonzalez and pitcher Hunter Elliott, they both earned spots on the 2023 Collegiate Baseball Preseason All-America team. Well-deserved. 2 of the best players on the roster, huge assets last year on their road to the national championship. So Gonzalez got first-team honors, and Elliott was second team. I can't wait for baseball to get going. It's going to be another fun season. The reports coming in, they should be a tough out again. Even with some of the losses that we had last year, the Rebels still, Bianco has reloaded once more, and it should be another fun season at Swayze.
Yeah, I'm excited to cover baseball. I'm really going to dig in this year, especially us doing the show and really cover it the way that I think I can. And I'll tell you what, man, it's always interesting to see how we respond. I mean, this is in general teams after they win a championship. And this was always a big deal when I was in the NFL too. Like for whatever reason, the Super Bowl champion would always suck the next year. I mean, you look at the Rams this year as well. Yep. I mean, it's just an odd deal. I'll be interested to see how we bounce back or how can we keep it going. And I think if you look at this year, do I expect us to win another national championship? No, I don't. I don't expect us to win another national championship back to back. That would be unrealistic. But I'd like to see us be very competitive and not do what State did. Like State was just they never could seem to get going last year. Coming off the championship lull there. But I think we have enough guys.
A lot of new guys.
Brought in some guys. I think we're still gonna be very competitive, and I'll be interested to see how we handle Elliott. Do they is he the Friday guy? I mean, I think he is, but do you put him in the middle and hopefully kind of like you did in the Casians, like, hey, guarantee that Saturday win, and try to it'll be interesting to see how we do it this year. It'll be a fun squad.
Yeah, I think when you have new guys, that helps keep the drive because they didn't get to experience the national championship win. So hopefully those new guys are going to, and obviously you've got good leadership with Gonzalez and Elliott as well, Chatnier. So it should be a good blend. And like I said, I'm not going to, Bianco can do whatever he wants to at this point. They could go and whatever, and you're not going to hear a peep from me considering what happened last year. But yeah, I'm expecting another really competitive, should be able to compete for an SEC title as well as a national title if all things fall right. So yeah, it should be a fun season this year.
Yeah, I think Calvin Harris, McCants, those guys taking big steps will be huge. Alderman will be good for us, but I think Calvin Harris and McCants really, coming into everyday starter kind of guys that can be consistent and be in the lineup, be staples in the lineup is going to be huge for us.
Yeah, and the show, we're going to have some good stuff once baseball season rolls around. It should be a fun time, but yeah, that should be good. We've got basketball about to pick up SEC play. We've got Christmas right around the corner. Bradley, what are your plans for Christmas?
Christmas, we are going to have it here in Madison with my whole crew, which is 6 of us. So we bring our own Christmas when we do it. We have our own crew. We can create our own Christmas and a basketball team or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then after that, we're going to go down to Houston. We're going to stop by that old bowl game there. I am going. I'm excited that it's in Houston. And then after that, we're going to be chilling in Houston for a little bit with the fam and coming back. Not a whole lot, man. What you got going?
We're just going to be around here. We went to Mississippi for Thanksgiving, so we'll be around here. I didn't want to lug presents across the country like I did last year. So I asked Romaro this. What is your favorite Christmas movie? Is it those Christmas editions of Shark Tank where they just do Christmas-related products?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. I don't watch enough movies to even have a favorite Christmas movie, but
you're really hard to have conversations with regarding this that are not Ole Miss related, Bradley. I hope you understand.
Yes, I don't watch any fictional things. Fictional things are for people that are unmotivated.
So you just watch biographies? You just watch the history?
Correct. No, actually, I'm a big documentary fan. I like some. I know some people love this. I like Dateline. I love watching Dateline and figuring out those crimes before they before they happen. So that's my thing, man. I love some good real stuff. I like some real movies. I don't even like movies, really documentaries and situations. I can't watch fiction, man. That's like so fake. Like I can't do fake.
I weep for you.
What do you like? Star Wars, Avengers. I mean, what is it?
I mean, I'll watch something. I'll watch pretty much anything. I watched. Now, this was not good, but I watched the Harry and Meghan kind of docuseries that they put out on Netflix. I'm not a big royal family fan. It wasn't good.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Yeah, Harry's a total beta, but it's okay.
Well, they just didn't. They didn't talk about any of the stuff that I cared about. I'm not a big royal family fan. My wife, I was trying to be a good husband and watch something that had her interest. But
dude, the royal family where I was from, they owned the royal family where I was raised from. They owned the farm, they owned the McDonald's and the Wendy's in town. So that's royal where I'm from. And 29-cent cheeseburgers were great.
Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, I lived those days too. Yeah, I mean, we're definitely not talking Hernando, Mississippi royalty. That's something that I can get behind every day of the week. So yeah, I'll watch pretty much anything. I'll give anything a chance, any genre. And if I don't like it, I'll turn it off. But yeah, I'm not, I don't pigeonhole myself like you do where I have to watch documentaries and reality stuff. It's okay to let your mind kind of explore other possibilities out there, man.
Yeah, man, I just don't know that I have enough bandwidth for it. I have freaking kids, softball, and all kinds of stuff, man. So,
well, you're not practicing softball at 9 p.m. I'll say that, and
but we are practicing softball tomorrow, and we have. When's
the live stream going to start on this so you can just have everybody involved?
I wish I would see one of my practices. It's hilarious. Like our vibes and our sounds at practice sound like a football practice.
This
Like
is
we
20
hop
years
around
ago.
and sound like, oh, you've actually seen it before. You sounds like a football practice, but it's actually 10-year-old softball players, which is shouldn't be that way, but it's fun. It's fun.
It's just yelling and then and loud music, basically, which is good. I did enjoy the games aspect where you just had them all playing in competition. I think that's fun. I think that keeps them engaged. But yeah, we're going to try to expand your horizons a little bit as we continue.
Have you looked at Texas? Have you looked at Texas Tech any or?
The hard problem with bowl games now, we've talked about it kind of ad nauseum with transfer portal and all that stuff, is I don't know what to expect because I don't know who's going to be playing for either team, considering, well, this person's in the transfer portal. Does that mean that they're not playing in the game? I do think Ole Miss is the better team. On paper, I do expect them to win because they are the better team. I could see a 10-point victory. I would say 31-21, something along those lines. That's kind of what I'm sticking. But like I said,
Did you happen to see the clip of the Florida guys playing it like a Pro Bowl?
No, I did not.
Oh, I'll have to show you. I'll send that to you. They were literally, the DN was rushing like it was a Pro Bowl. I mean, dude, it's absurd now. Like watching some of the stuff that goes on now, like a ball game's a ball game, right? Enjoy it. Like, why would you take a ball game off like you're going to be playing forever? Like,
if you're going to be out there, play.
I couldn't coach. There's no way I can coach now. If I seen that and I was the coach, your shit would be packed. Period. I don't care. Go home. Out of here. See ya. Can't do it. It's just some of the stuff you see now. It's hard. It's nauseating, man. It really is nauseating. But yeah, those guys. Florida I think got throttled, and they were. I'm hoping. I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do about the bowl situations and how to get these players to play or whatever. Just don't have them. I mean, hell, go home if you want to be done. Just be done. But I think expanding the playoffs is going to help.
It will.
And I wonder if they're going to they need to maybe put some. They make a ton of money on these games. Hell, in the NFL, you play a playoff game, you get playoff check. Like there's a little money on it that maybe would help.
That would be nice.
But yeah, I mean, it's just.
I do think the playoffs going to help because I'll be honest, bowl games are a glorified exhibition game, and if I'm a senior, or if I'm about to go, or if I'm thinking about going to the draft, I've kind of proven myself. What's the point of risking injury when I've got the draft coming up, the combine, senior bowl practices, all that type of stuff, depending on my my classification. So, bowl games have never been a big deal to me. I like expanding the playoff because what's the point of having a championship if, only 4 blue bloods are going to get to play for it every year? The blue bloods are still going to be there, but at least give the other teams a chance to step on the field and compete for those. And it makes the in-season losses not as critical as they have been in the past. So I'm all for it. So.
Yep. No, I agree there, man. It'll be fun. Hopefully Ole Miss will show up, and I agree. I think we're the better team. But if you look at Texas Tech's schedule, man, they played some close games versus some solid teams.
Big conference, man.
Yeah, they're not as bad as they were. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So Thursday or Friday, you can expect our show next week. We are going to wait till after the bowl game. Just makes more sense. That way we can talk recruiting as well as the results of the bowl game and what's next. Stick to our social medias. We'll have that information out. Make sure you like and subscribe wherever you get the Brad and Chad show. Also want to make sure and remember Jeff Griffin with the Stevenson Griffin Group at Baird Private Wealth Management. Always remember you can go to their website, stevensongriffingroup.bairdwealth.com, or give them a call, 662-841-1900. Thank you to our title sponsor, Blue Delta Jeans, bluedeltajeans.com. Wherever use their easy-to-use virtual tailor. Make sure you get your any last-minute gifts for your loved ones should you need to do so. Bradley, I won't talk to you until after Christmas, so Merry Christmas to you and yours. Be safe driving down to Houston and enjoy that bowl game, man.
Yep, likewise, Chad. Howdy, toddy.
Howdy, toddy, man.
Thanks for listening to the Brad and Chad Show. Follow the boys on social media for more content. And don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. This has been an OM Network production, brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans, made in the USA.